Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a guy here. He's normally running under the radar. He's not one to front himself, but he was very instrumental in running the Malvern League with Noel Denny here in Toronto. So I'll have to ask him to introduce himself and give me his background from where he came and what island he's from.
Mhm. The name is Owen Lewis. In the days of the beginning of Malvern, I was better known as Ali because they claimed that I looked like him at that time. Now I know I don't, so don't make any comments. But I'm from Guyana, came to Canada in 1971. At that time in my life, I had played a lot of street. When I say street, I mean street parapet in grass soccer with soft balls. I also played with some older guys with a real soccer ball with a tube inside. It was hard like rock. I wasn't playing with shoes. And that basically is my soccer career. I never really played organized soccer or was in a competition until I was about 16 years old, 17 years of age, where I actually participated in the under 17 school tournament. And then I came to Canada. I worked in Ghana for about 2 years, and I came to Canada. And for the first few years, quite a few years actually, I concentrated mainly on building a career.
Okay,
But
can I interject and ask you what
yeah,
year you came to Canada?
I came to 71, 1971.
Okay, and when you came there, was there any soccer slash football activity or clubs functioning?
I knew that there was at least one of them, but I did not participate. I may have dropped by a game or two. I know for sure I saw a game somewhere near the Eglinton Flats or something like that, but I was not involved. I was a spectator on the odd occasion.
And
I,
that's because of your job situation?
job situation, trying to build a career. I had like two jobs, and I don't want to call it a part-time job, but I love farming. So I was actually helping a Texan, a guy that came to live in Toronto, all the way in Georgetown, not far from Toronto, all the way from Texas, and how to farm. And I enjoyed working with him. I learned a lot, driving tractors, slaughtering animals, chickens, pigs, and so on. And then I heard I had known Noel, and I ran into him a few times in Toronto, the Don Mills area. And a, a friend of ours told me that
That's
Noel
not
was
any, right?
Noel Denny.
Okay.
A friend of mine told me that Noel was trying to get a hold of me. So I contacted him. And at that time, it would have been about 1977. And Noel was actually knocking on doors in the Malvern area, which is where he lived, asking mostly West Indians. He didn't know these guys, just knocking on doors, asking if they wanted to come out and, kick some ball. And that turned into a pickup situation in the Malvern area at a field called not Hopfield, not Malvern, Lester Pearson. So we used to get together at Lester Pearson Sunday mornings about 10 o'clock. No permit, nothing. And we would go pick two teams and play soccer. And that's how the Malvern League actually started, 1977. But it was not a league, it was a pickup. But from there, it progressed into a league.
Could you give us that progression? Because some bright idea had to come up for the pickup section to feel that they can really pull off a league in
Right.
terms of, is it participation in numbers or is it knowing other people who run different teams to
What
come
actually
up?
happened?
Yeah.
People, especially the Trinidadians, because again, this is West Indians. And it wasn't limited to West Indians. We had a guy from Iran who used to play with us. We had a guy, a Canadian Caucasian youth that used to come out and run with us. He wasn't a soccer player, but we used to call him 99 because he was a Gretzky fan. He was into hockey, and he wore a 99 jersey. So someone within the group would show up Sunday morning and said, you know, I've got some friends in Ajax, as an example, who plays pickup soccer, and they would like to meet with us and have a game. So the next Saturday, not Sunday, the next Saturday or so, we'll go out and meet these guys wherever. And then we became friends. So there were little pockets of pickup soccer throughout Toronto. Another example would be the guys from Brook Mills. Brook Mills is a street, my memory tells me, it's in the Brimley Finch area. And they had a bunch of guys playing pickup soccer there too, just dying to meet us so we can play every once in a while. So after about 5 years or so, they had teams, pickup teams. And from there, we started to play each other and kind of put it into a league kind of format. But I want to point out at this stage of the game. So the emphasis was on fun, camaraderie, refreshments after, and some fine West Indian food. My first introduction to jerk chicken, there was an individual from the Brook Mill team. I could only remember his first name. Alan made the most wicked jerk chicken I've ever eaten. And again, at that stage of the game, we had like 4 or 5 teams, maybe 6. So it became a little bit more organized at that stage. And that would have been towards the end of 1980 or so.
Okay.
Again, let's call it the pickup soccer, lasted from about 1977 to about 1981. Okay? And then from there, what we had became a league.
Okay. Do you recall the first set of teams in the league, or any names that you can call? Original team was Malvern your team?
We
original team, right?
Yes, we call ourselves Malvern United. We had at that stage of the game we had.
Hold on. So the original teams, you have the names of the original teams?
Yes. The original teams, as I recall, were Simba, Carrican, Brook Mills. There was a team called Spice Island. You can imagine where they came from, right?
Yes, I remember Spice Island.
Right. And did I say Brook Mills? Yeah, Brook Mills. Yeah. So that's about 6 teams we started with. Right? I think there's a team I missed. Don Mills. Okay. What I can't do though, I can't tell you when other teams start to seep into the
That's fine. Once we get there, when it started,
right?
Because
1982
of it. So how it's obviously that's 1982. 82.
Right.
What do you think ended up being the longevity? Because this league lasts a long time.
This league lasted for 17 years.
Yeah, under your tenure.
Myself and Noel's.
You're right.
Right.
What was it in the level of the play that attracted? Was it the camaraderie? Or just people didn't have anywhere? Because I know other leagues were going on. So for you to be expanding, this is amazing that we're finding out that this league was actually expanding when the Flemington League was going on. So how did that work in terms of you keeping the league? What was the interest?
The interest, I think, was multiple things. I would like to think that the main interest was camaraderie. We had a lot of fun. And strange enough, I shouldn't use the word strange because this is good. Mm-hmm. At that time, we respected each other. We treated each other not like enemies on a soccer team about who wins and we gotta hurt a guy. No, it was real fun. And a 10 o'clock game, obviously it finished sometime 11:30 or so. And guys will be hanging around eating that jerk chicken like I mentioned before, and Kentucky Fried, used to call it crow. The Jamaican guys used to say, we need some crow. Boops, there's a bucket of chicken, 2 buckets of chicken. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't just play soccer curse each other out, go home, and no, it was a real friendly bunch of guys. I want to think also there was nothing else for them to do. Some of these guys may have had a young family, right?
Okay.
And there was no need to play soccer and then rush home or that sort of stuff. So they hung around. But I like to point out again, it was a lot of fun, a lot of respect for each other, and people just wanted to be there. And I want to also believe they weren't just there for the chicken, but they loved being there.
Okay. But I know that fun part is fine, but with the Influxer team, as you say, I don't think the Influxer team was coming for the chicken either.
No, 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 no.
I think they were coming because it was a competition and it was also somewhere to go that their group could hang out and join
Right.
the hangout, right?
Right.
So there's a mixture of the joining a league,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because you remember it evolved from having fun games to a league.
Right.
People a league, you have points.
Right.
You have a winner and you have losers.
Yes.
So how you maintain that balance in the winning and the losing going up, because remember we had to reach the pinnacle when we came into certain teams. When I came into the league, to me the level of play was very high. It was very competitive.
Right.
Right. So I want to know if you can explain in that camaraderie and the chicken going into the 90s. Because now you're looking at mid going into the late 80s now.
Right. You've got to bear in mind, even though I emphasize on the fun part of things, the first team that won the league in 1982 was Simba, right? You had guys, all the teams had, I think we had a rule actually where we only two young guys, like young, I can't remember the exact age group, I think below the age of 25 or something like that, were allowed to play on each team.
Hold on. So are you saying that this was over 35 or old boys?
No.
So why is it under 25 then?
There was no age limit. The only thing, the rules, my memory tells me, was that because these guys were older guys by 1982, they weren't 20. So they had sons, they had a few young guys in the league, but we had a limit. My memory tells me there were two young guys allowed to play. And this is very important to remember. There were two young guys allowed to play. But people, I'll call a few
What was the age? Under 25? What was the age? Young, as in, how you determine young?
I do believe it was 25.
Okay.
Right? I could be wrong, but it was 20, 25. Right? But you were talking about, and it wasn't easy. You're talking about guys like Leslie Forbes. I don't know if you know Leslie Forbes.
Yeah, I know Leslie.
Right. You're talking about Noel. Noel used to play. You're talking about guys like Lennox Farrell. You must know Lennox. I've seen Lennox. Yard. Right? You're talking about guys like Eric Delfish, right? Guys who today would be my age, give or take a year. So it wasn't guys who were crippled that couldn't walk. The competition was stiff. You had some good players. You had guys who had represented Grenada, a guy by the name of Joe John. Unlike me, I never represented Guyana, but you had competition. It wasn't a bunch of guys who could barely walk. It actually came to that. And this is where it really blossomed into a youth league, right? I can remember that there were so many young guys knocking on the door. And I'll tell you why they were knocking on the door. The history is very important. There were guys, even though two were allowed to play, at any given day, you could field a team of young fellas. And what was happening to them was that some of them had gone to school here. They had white friends, and their white friends would invite them to go play in their league. And depending on how good they were, they'll get to play, and then there'll be a better, more skillful white guy that joins that league, and they got benched. So they had nothing to do, even though they had skills and they ended up at Malvern, mostly on the sideline. And this is when we decided there must be an older league, over 35.
Mm-hmm.
And then the league was open to all ages, and it became mostly a younger league. At that time, I was still able to play in the I used to play 2 games on Sundays. I used to play with the younger guys, as well as a 2 o'clock over 35 game. So there was a transition. But after a while, I couldn't cut it. And most of the guys who started couldn't keep up with those young fellas. So they all played over 35.
Which league, when you went to the 2 dimensions, which played early and which played late? You remember?
The young boys played at 10 and noon. And the over 35, my memory tells me, was at 2 and at 4. And that turned into be a big party too. But most of the teams who are already in the league, not all of them, most of them, were able to field an over 35 team, as well as have a young team in the league.
Okay, let's talk about the generation that I know in coming into the league, which I have it comparable with most leagues.
Right.
The type of level of play.
Right.
The 90s.
Mm-hmm.
In the 90s, there was as I say, specifically, I can't remember if it was the Guyanese, the name was, I think it was Guyanese Canadians. I think it's Guyanese Canadians was the name.
I just remember them as
It gives them those guys and stuff.
Yes.
How did that team, if you could recall, because when Spoilers came into that league, they were already the champions and established themselves as the team to beat, right?
I disagree.
Now, you had Carrican, you had other teams that I could identify with once the name is called because I have the stats. But I consider that league, from what you're telling me, the foundation of the Malvern League, to that time, that is impressive up in standard.
Okay. One thing you said that I challenge you on. In my humble opinion, and I'm not a statistician, but I know numbers. When you came into the league around what, 1993?
93.
There was no dominant team. I have the stats. I got to show you the trophy before we cut off.
Yeah.
Because their Guyanese team won the championship twice. But then there were teams like Greens. There was a team called Greens. They won twice. Simba won twice. There was a team called Soccer United, which I can hardly remember.
I know Soccer very well.
Right, they won. Unity won. So to me, even when you came into the league, even though I've heard you say this before, I would argue with you.
No, you don't have to. I come concede, because those teams that you call there, those teams that you call there, play in my tournaments, and those are dynamite teams, and those were already teams in there. But what's sticking in my mind is the fact that I was canvassed to come in the league based on this Guyanese team winning at the time. So that's what happens. It's not those teams that you call there. I know them very well, every one of them. Right. So now you have to what you're doing now is making me aware that these teams were in there before our team came in and before I got privy to the
first time the Guyanese team won was in 1991. And they won again in 1993. I think your team was called Spoilers.
Correct.
Right. You guys won in 1994. But they had a team called Greens. They won in 1992 and 1995. Simba was a very, very good team. And in the history of the league, they won twice or so. So it really was not, and I'm not going to talk about Malvern when I was playing. I mean, like, I told you I wasn't a big soccer player, but we won twice.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Right?
When you won, but as I said in Sammy's interview, Malvern team had some good players with Tobo, and when he mentioned his son played and stuff, because I remember, it's about how long you guys could last on, and I'll give them if you guys decide to last the whole game, it's right down to the wire.
Right.
right? So that doesn't surprise me because I'm open for the information. That's why we're doing this exercise.
Yeah.
So nothing is written in stone unless it's on the schedule,
Mhm.
unless you have it there. So that's why
I,
it's important to get your information, because we are being informed here from somebody, and you used to be statistician,
no,
or
no, no, I just threw that word at you.
but
I used to do,
you're
I
the
was
records
that,
guy. You're the records guy for the Malvern League.
I, with myself and a fella by the name of Sketch John from Dominica, would put up nets. I remember after a while we were like, oh man, we're getting old. And you arranged with a fella, I can't remember his name.
Right, that was right.
But Sketch and I did that. We did everything. My wife used to cook, bring food to Noel's backyard, everything. I'll tell you something, just a little diversion. I want to let everybody know that Noel is doing fairly well, but he's got some health issues. And this is why I am here doing the interview with you. But I want people to know he's fine and he's doing okay, but he does have some health issues. But that's the man. That's the man who should really be talking to you. He's marvelous. I already mentioned, could you imagine a guy going door to door, knocking on strangers' doors and asking them if they want to come out and play soccer? That's what he did to start this thing going. And there were issues. There were internal issues and some very serious external issues. We don't have to get deep into the issues, but he fought and he won. And most people will just know that on Sundays, there's 3-4 games at Malvern, some at Hopfield, Timothy Eaton's we used to use, but they never knew what happened from Monday to Friday. They never knew. And that man would be at City Hall fighting, you know,
To keep everything going.
Right, why Malvern can't get fields. There was a movement. I'm trying to avoid calling organization names and so on, but you can imagine where I'm coming from. And
yes.
it wasn't
Yes.
right. All along the way, trying to get Malvern League, not the team, the league to become mainstream, which means under their control. I don't mind saying.
Yeah, we went through that at Flemington too. North York did intervene.
And I'm not trying to put our people down, but most people would have said, okay. Noel said, no. What are you? What am I going to gain by becoming a part of Scarborough Soccer Association? The rules. I already know the rules. I don't need you for the rules. What am I going to get? Better referee.
They sold us referees, yes. That's what they sell.
Are you trying to tell me that West Indian people like Junior McNally, Wayne Wilcox, there's a late fella by the name of Yearwood? I have all the referees' names. Are you trying to tell us that our people can't referee? All sorts of things. What happens if you get hurt? You have no insurance. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. Mm-hmm. I had to throw that in because without him, none of this would have been possible.
No, but that has to be said too, and I can't say it while I'm doing the thing, but that was exactly how it works. That's exactly what happens in the leagues, because we went through that at Flemington too. And I remember being around Noel when he used to mention these things, but Noel always keep it under wraps. He always kind of handle his burden if that and he can handle it, you know.
He can handle it. I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, no, that's important because again, as I was saying to Randy and the people who run leagues, is that if you're going to pass it on to somebody, they need these type of information, because we can't be having the same problems coming up and we're not prepared for it or not circumvented before it happened.
Yes. One last comment in this regard for the youth. If you ever putting something like a league together or any other business, it doesn't have to be soccer. Get your facts together. Fight it in a decent way. You don't have to swear or curse at these people. But don't give up. Do not give up.
Yeah, that's important too, because we sometimes get a little hot because we already see ourselves doing what we plan on doing, and with obstacles, you
Yes.
almost kind of make yourself feel like you can't get it anymore when it's just a struggle.
Right.
It's
Be
just like
calm.
a game.
Yeah. Be calm. Get your facts straight and fight to the end in a decent, calm way.
So while you're passing on this information, what happened? What happened? Why you guys didn't continue with the league? What transpired there? Or when did you and Noel, I don't know if disassociate is the right word, but decide to just chill, for a better word?
This is not the reason why I mentioned the work that was being done in the background, but it was a lot of work. And it was 17 years straight. Okay. Noel, at this time, had I can't remember how old his first daughter was. I'm not going to do any mathematics like that. But he had a young daughter. And he wanted to spend more time with his family. And he had given 17 years of being away from home Sundays, not for the duration of a game. I myself used to leave home at around 9. In those days, our players never used to walk with a water bottle. They depended on me to put the nets up and to bring like 2 5-gallon jugs.
That's true. Water bottles wasn't in anyways. You had to have a cooler or something. Yes.
Bring your own. But it used to be an all-day affair. For me personally, it was worse for Noel. Because I would, at one point, play a 10 o'clock game or a 12 o'clock game, hang around, go to the over 35 game, wherever that was, and play it. And then, a bit of camaraderie, and I'm home. But he would be driving from field to field to field to field to field to make sure everything is okay. And at the end of the day, anything was possible. You get a call from Parks and Rec saying a certain field was left in a very filthy manner, and he would have to leave home, go over there, do whatever he has to do, pick up bottles, beer bottles, whatever, and stuff. He was always on the go all day. And then, like I said to you before, during the week, we would have meetings and so on. One other point I want to make. I've spoken about Noel, and you've spoken about me. This league was not it was put together and administered by Noel. But the way the league was running, you probably know this because you were one of them. We had 2 reps from every team at meetings at the beginning of the season to do changes to the rules, talk about issues that we had last year, and it was sometimes 20, 22, 23 people making the rules, agreeing on the rules, and signing off on the rules. And then again, I'll come home and type the rules and update the documents, and the following Sunday I'll hand it out. And that's a paper. I do the schedules. But it was a group. It was a group of 20 plus representatives that actually ran the league.
Yeah, we used to do it for the awards too.
Exactly.
Meeting for the presentation.
And the meetings were held at the Malvern Community Center. We used to get a room free, book it, and we have it. You may not remember. I know you don't. Because you and I sat in my basement.
Yes, I remember.
Of course, we had a couple of Heineken.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that. I remember you
working on some specific issue. I can't remember what it was. This was like years ago. But it was always work to do. It wasn't always about, definitely wasn't all about Sunday mornings and Sundays. It was a lot of work. So after 17 years, we've had enough. And basically, I know you're going to ask me this question about how it was handed off, but it wasn't.
Okay, there you go.
It wasn't handed off. It was stopped. We stopped it. But there's a guy by the name of Raul Small who contacted us and said that he would like to continue with it. So what we did, and he was around. I can't remember if he was a participant, not a soccer player, but he was associated with a team. He's Barbadian. And I don't know if he was associating with the Barbadian team or what, but he was around. And he volunteered to take it forward. So there was a brief handover. It wasn't, like a formal
Yeah,
handover.
smooth,
Right.
like next year you're gonna do X, you know?
No. He was on his own. I refused to speak or address any issues that he may have encountered, caused, or resolved. I wouldn't do that because honestly, I don't. I know Randy. Randy, by the way, used to be my neighbor. Right?
Is that right?
Randy lived 2 houses down from me, right? And I remember when Randy came into the league with his buddy, I forget his Sheldon Singh, and so on. But Randy took it over. Same thing. I'm not qualified to speak of what Randy did, nor am I qualified to speak.
But did you follow the league? Did you follow it? Anyways.
I'll be honest with you. After he handed over, again, it was like freeing a bird from a cage who's been locked into the cage. I seldom went back to the field. Under Randy's tutelage, I've never gone to one of Randy's games. Not because I have anything to do with, nothing to do with Randy. I just started to watch my cars on Sunday. I became a bird club with some of the soccer players, like Mike Mendonza and a few other guys.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that coached and trained Trinidadian guy, the guy in Eastie, Blues, they call it Blues.
Yeah.
Right? We did other things, other fun things, but those fun things lasted 2 hours and then you're home. You see, it was not all day affair. So I was like a free bird to do other things. The many things that I've done since the days of soccer, except play soccer.
Okay. Now, granted, you put your time in and everything else, but how is it and what type of sentiment you have if nothing seemed to work? You're aware of the Thompson League, right?
You mentioned this to me. I wasn't until yesterday.
Oh, you wasn't aware of the Thompson League, though?
Never heard of it.
So once you were here, were you aware of the Flemington League?
Oh, I've gone to the Flemington field, see you guys play.
No. We never talk about this. I never know you been at Flemington.
On my own, dropped in. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know a lot of you guys. I didn't even know you when I went to Flemington. I just dropped in.
Oh, you're coming up Dunmills and you realize there's a lot of people there.
Oh yeah. I played the game, one game at Flemington Park. Somebody arranged a friendly game. I think it was a guy who started with us, Trinidadian guy by the name of Leroy Benjamin, had arranged a game at Flemington. I couldn't tell you which team we played, but I scored the only goals for Malvern.
Okay, all right. You remember what time, what era that was in terms of that was in the 80s before you formed the Malvern League?
No. The Malvern League was running.
Going on?
Yes. And the game, who arranged it? I could only think it was Leroy Benjamin, Trinidadian guy. Went play the game, and I remember something. Whoever arranged the game actually had like a copy of the permit at Flemington, and some team or two teams showed up, didn't have a permit, and wanted to kick us off.
To play a league game? Is that with nets or anything like that? Or? Okay. So you watched play at Flemington because Flemington, the Malvern League, Flemington, and certain competitions are going to be highlight of the coming together of the community. So, in terms of the Flemington, besides playing that practice game, did you watch games at Flemington?
Not on a religious basis. I stopped by. I can't even.
But so, would you, for that little glimpse you got and stuff, how would you to Flemington back?
Very, very competitive and a bit loud.
True that. That's true for me.
I've never seen anything like it. But I didn't stick around. I'm not I can't talk too much about Flemington, but I did stop by. I mean, how can I be driving up and down Don Mills, see a bunch of black guys playing soccer there, and not even stop for 5 or 10 minutes? And that's basically what I did.
Good. Yeah, because a lot of people did what you did, but they keep coming back though.
Yeah.
But you saying within that time you had something going, correct?
In addition to soccer, a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about even if you look at the years you mentioned in the Malvern pickup and stuff, that's still around the time Flemington is functioning.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you exactly what years I stopped by and when, but I did. And I played one game against some team. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay. So now that we get Flemington under there, what do you think with nothing besides the Thompsons that you don't even know about? But
I don't know.
if I say to you now that we are struggling to have some type of community involvement in terms of, social, but in this country you have to have a reason to be out there. What do you think we should be doing moving forward?
I think you should select some leaders, some young leaders. I'm not going to wrap a number around age-wise. And coach them how to just coach. Don't do the work. I don't want to do any work, but coach them how to do what we did, so that they can do it for guys that are slightly younger than themselves.
Yeah, because that's needed. I needed to hear you because you've been in administration since I met you.
Right.
Always in the background though.
I came. You had a party. I don't know if it's spoilers. I came to deliver something to you. I don't remember what it was, other than a piece of paper or check or whatever. The next thing I know, I keep it. I the doorman at this party. That I don't know. I didn't do I dressed to no party, nothing. I just came to see you and say, hey, and you go home, to change to come back, and I know I respect that because you trusted me.
Yeah, because I'm not going to say that, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the guy speak and you realize he's upright and stuff, and why not have him there? Because, as he said, he's a trustworthy guy and he was always straight up like he is delivering right now. So I just can't even remember that, but that's something I would do. After getting to know you, though.
You left me there. That's fine. I understand you coming back. It's your party.
Whoa! I didn't even remember that. Okay, you dropped that ball on me. All right. Okay. All right. So we cover everything, but I want to thank you because that structural part of the Malvern now I feel very comfortable that that's a huge boon for this project. With you giving all the information, and by the time it came around to the writing process, I know you have documentation. By the time we put all these interviews together and get everybody, because each person has something additional to offer to this project.
Right.
And that's just trying to get the right person, and the right set of information so that it blends well. I mean, much people might know you, but they can tell by the information it's authenticated by you and Noel.
Yeah, I can add a little bit more. I don't want to keep you, but I know I mentioned his name already. But Smokey, lot of respect for Smokey, man.
Yeah,
he was always there.
He is Scarborough.
What a guy.
Yeah, God rest his soul, man. Yeah.
There's another fella. I don't know if you would know him. His name was Chris Philbin. He passed away quite a while back, but he was one of the original referees.
He used to referee. Yes.
So I remember the people. Chris Philbin.
He passed away?
Long ago, like 20 years ago. Yeah, he's gone.
That's the guy who used to referee in the Malvern League?
Yes. I went to his funeral. And then there's a guy who came in kind of late. His name was, oh boy. His name was Yearwood, another referee that passed away. And a few other things, like, I can't think of, I want to say this. There were some Caucasian referees over the years that stuck with us. I don't remember the names, but they stuck with us. There was another referee. I don't remember he's Italian.
I remember him, yeah.
Italiano is how we used to call it. But there were people who were willing to help.
Well, I think that is also a credit to and that's what people have to understand in our
Yeah.
community. That is not just the league. More time than not, is a credit to the people who run the league. That's a credit to you and Noel, because I know referees, when they talk to the convener, the person in charge, and they get that comfort zone, they know how to apply the rules. That's their job. But the person who gets them there and sell them the idea of refereeing and what the objective is,
Right.
they always know that our community needs it anyways. Everybody
Yes.
that comes in our league know that it's something needed. It's all over the world, everybody know that. So they always, and if they like the job, but that is a credit to you and Noel, though.
Yeah, there's one other name I'd like to mention, a guy by the name of Hubert Small, who passed away in an accident in Guyana. He was around the league. I think he did a lot of work with the Guyanese vets. And
Yes, I remember Small.
knowledge these people. Right. Anything else?
Yeah. No, I think we just about have it wrapped up. We have it wrapped up. I know you had to stick it like marble into all the thing. That's on Noel behalf, because I know that would have been a little joke with Noel. Making sure that we know that Malvern had two things, because that is normally Noel sticking,
Right. One very last thing I promised. I just want you to know, or anybody who may doubt what I said, in terms of the years and the teams, and we didn't touch on all the teams, but it actually came from, I gotta move the camera.
Yeah.
I gotta put my light on. And you gotta see the trophy. You can see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Drop the camera a little bit.
Drop?
Yes. Okay, that's the original trophy?
That's the original trophy. And as you can see, it has the winners on it. So that's where I got the information from. And this cannot be challenged.
Okay, so bring it more into view. Right.
Right. That's the trophy. That's the history of the league right there. Of course, I had to polish it up this morning. I got a little bit of help from my wife. Because it is silver, it's pure silver.
Okay.
And it was tarnished.
So, well, then I would just cut it out the video then and don't put it in. Seeing that you do all that work, I wouldn't give you any satisfaction. Owen, I want to thank you for giving me the time, bro. And wish you all the best. Hope you're doing well with the COVID. Hope the COVID have you inside.
Yes, don't mess with that. I don't mess with that at all.
Yeah. So, and I'll call Noel when I process this. Obviously, you'll be one of the first to see it. I'll release it to you and him. And again, the information is valuable.
Yes.
There's no two ways about that. All right.
I'm glad I could help.
Yeah.
Glad I could help. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Good.
Bye.
Thanks, bro.